Yesterday's UFC event was cancelled. ANZAC UFC fighters with some fight announcements. Kiwis clean up at the Hex shows on the weekend. And SFS 21 is this weekend. Let's take a look at what happened in the last week with the Squared Up update. Yesterday, UFC Fight Night, Barber versus Blanchfield, was cancelled last minute, right before the walkout. Erin Blanchfield said she was told that Macy Barber was having a seizure backstage. Something bigger must be happening for Macy because she also missed weight as well. Blanchfield and Barber are both ranked in the top 5 of the women's flyweight division, and this fight very much could have meant who was next to fight for the title. And while we're at it, we'll cover off other UFC news. We saw a number of ANZAC UFC fighters with some fight announcements coming up over the next coming months. Both Jake Matthews and Junior Tuffer will be fighting on a UFC Fight Night on July 13th. And Jimmy the Brute Crute, fresh off signing his new UFC contract, will be fighting on UFC 318 the following weekend on July 20th. And announced this morning, Astro Boy Steve Erceg will be returning to the cage to fight Alex Perez on a UFC Fight Night on August 10th. And this weekend is also UFC 316, which is O'Malley vs Dvalishvili 2. And opening the early prelims card is Aussie fighter Quillan Salkeld, and you can watch him open that card at 10 AM NZT. The Kiwi boys over in the Hex shows over the weekend came so close to a clean sweep. Unfortunately, Daniel Bull narrowly missed out with a split decision. And just to specify, I say Kiwi fighters because they're fighting out of a New Zealand gym. Kieran Joplin retained his Hex lightweight bout via finish. Brody Maoki won his fight via unanimous decision. Keone Terototoa won his fight with a first round finish, and Maynard Peel is now the Road to Hex middleweight champion. And a special shout out to a Kiwi fighter who is fighting out of freestyle MMA over in Australia, Kasib Murdoch, and congratulations to him for becoming the Hex bantamweight champion with a 3rd round finish. Shout out to Kasib's family for listening to Across the Ditch. And to end on a local MMA update, this weekend, Shuriken Fight Series 21 is taking place at Event Finder Stadium. SFS is the pinnacle of NZ MMA, and I can't stress enough to go and see the show live. But if you can't, you can catch the prelims on csn.watch, and the main event will be on UFC Fight Pass. You can also catch a breakdown of the card on my show with Joel Rasmussen from Southern Cross Combat called Across the Ditch. You can listen to that on Spotify or at Southern Cross Combat on YouTube. I will also be backstage at the fight night interviewing the fighters as they come out of the cage. And that's the MMA news for the last week, and now you are all squared up.